Got a 2018 F-150 with the 5-liter Coyote, completely bone stock truck as of now. 10-speed transmission behind it. It's got 100 some odd thousand miles on it, and we're gonna do a little refresh on it. We're gonna do some maintenance, so head gaskets, timing chains, spark plugs, that sort of thing. And then we've also got a Whipple supercharger kit for it, and ARP head bolts for it. So we're gonna do these two things, drive it around for a little bit, have some fun with it, and then shortly after that we've actually got the XTF Factory 5 XTF trophy truck kit for it. So we're gonna install that, make this thing a raptor killer. So last night we already took the exhaust off, and after putting on the lift, took the exhaust off. So we're gonna go ahead this morning. We're gonna get it pulled apart to get ready for the head gaskets. Head gaskets are on their way if they're from cosmetic. So drain the coolant, pull off this front clip, intake manifold, valve covers, front covers, all that stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on tearing all that down. Alright, I got the intake manifold out. That was a struggle. These Coyote intake manifolds, they have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little clips on the back, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 plugs on the back. 5 plugs on the back. So I got that out after 45 minutes of struggling. Now, getting ready. Valve covers are next, and then once the valve covers are out, then I'm going to start taking care of all this up here. I am worried about these AC lines, how close they sit, and where the AC compressor sits down there. So I might have to get a evacuator to be able to evacuate that stuff out. Alright, I got this driver's side valve cover off. The tube seals for the spark plug tubes, and then these, they're kind of annoying to pull off, so I just generally walk around, kind of go around as far as I can until I hear it pop out, and then they'll actually pull out. If you just try and pry, you're going to break the valve cover or damage one of these. But engine looks really good. Camshafts are all in good condition. There's no major scoring, there's no oil buildup, no nastiness in it. All of this looks really good, so I think our motor will handle this pretty well. Alright, got this passenger side valve cover off, and I fear I may have spoken too soon about the cleanness of this engine. Driver's side looks fantastic. It looks like it's only got 30,000 miles on it, and this driver's side looks like it has 110,000 on it. Not quite sure what's going on here, why this side got so much more varnish than the other. This engine has never been opened up, valve covers have never been removed, spark plugs have never been changed. So, not sure what's going on here, but I'm not going to condemn anything based on just discoloration. We're going to continue, pull the timing cover off, all these components out, and then go ahead and pull the heads off so we can inspect cylinders and everything, and then change out those head gaskets. and got the front cover off of here. This timing chain looks really good. Tensioners look really good. There's no signs of major wear on these guides or anything. Everything looks good. I took a moment, cleaned up a little bit, reset, and now I'm going to gotta find top dead center, time everything, and then I can get these chains, camshafts pulled, and then I can pull the heads out and we can put head gaskets in and start to get this back together. All right, I went ahead and got this motor timed. So this is one of the most unique timing setups I've ever seen. The crankshaft should be at 730. The little keyway that protrudes needs to be at 730, so pointing towards the oil pump. And then up here, the R should be facing that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all those timing components out and then remove the camshaft, and then I can pull the heads. So I got the camshafts, all the caps, all the lifters and rollers and everything pulled out of here. I've got them exactly how they were in the engine bay. Just basically, if you stand, turn 360 degrees, that's how they're sitting on the table. So I got this all set up, so now I can take the heads off. I'm just gonna break the bolts loose in reverse sequence of the torque spec, both sides, and then head's gonna come off. I think I've got everything disconnected that I need to, so I should be able to just crack them loose and pull them out. You ready?
Yep. That's actually not too bad. Spilt. Oh. Wow, that's pretty light. Oh, over my foot.
Alright, got those cylinder heads off. I don't know if you can see, those cylinder walls look fantastic. There's a little bit of carbon buildup on the top of the pistons, but there's tons of cross hatching left. The ridge is minimal at best. Same on this side. Cross hatching looks great. Very little, no damage at all, no scores, scratches, especially nothing felt by a fingernail. So I think this engine will be just fine. All right, it's been about a week. We finally got these head gaskets in. These are built by order, so they only make as many as are ordered, so it takes a while for them to come in. I think it took about 3 or 4 weeks for them to show up, but I think these are the best that we can get for our application. They're thicker than stock and hopefully better quality, higher quality. And then our cylinder head, this is our passenger side cylinder head. I think that this side was running a little lean. Not bad enough to damage anything because everything's in fantastic condition still. Camshafts, there's no scoring, nothing crazy. The lifters are in good condition, all operate normally. Cylinders still had cross hatching and everything. Everything looks good. Just that little bit of yellowing up here on the sides. So I think it might have just got a little hot. Other than that, we're gonna go start cleaning up these heads, cleaning up the mating surface on the block, and then we'll get the head gaskets on and then start putting together timing components and go from there. All right, here it is all cleaned up. The camera doesn't look like it picks it up, but there's like little tiny bits of imprint and discoloration from the head gasket. but is nothing that you can feel with your finger. You can also still see that machining mark from the original machining of this head, so that's a good sign. I know I didn't get into it too deep. And then over here, the head gasket doesn't sit right here. You can tell because the pitting and stuff and everything, it's discoloration from rust and that sort of stuff, or I guess corrosion, not rust. It's aluminum head. But head gasket doesn't sit up here, it doesn't seal up here, so I'm not going to worry too much about this right here. But all the rest of it looks really good, nice and clean. Alright, I got all this material cleaned off, all the old gasket material cleaned off. I went ahead, I did a couple first passes with just dry rags, cleaning everything out. Got it surface clean, so now I'm going to use brake clean. I got the big cans, but use brake clean. I'm going to fully clean everything out, make sure those cylinders are all cleaned out. Well, so it looks like we had ordered the wrong ones. We ordered 30 over gaskets. This is still a stock bore, so we're going to have to figure something out with that. So we will yeah, I'm gonna put a hold on this while I figure out these gaskets. Got the new head gaskets in finally. So we originally went with the cosmetic head gaskets. Didn't go with those again because I was trying to get these in a hurry. Those cosmetics took a while to come in. But these are just Motorcraft ones. Got them from a Ford dealer. And these, I was actually looking at the gaskets. The cosmetics are only 3 layers of stamped steel, while these are 4. So I'm not sure if the cosmetics are just thicker stamped steel or what. I didn't measure them out. But we're going to go with these Motorcraft ones. Go ahead, get these in, get the heads torqued down to spec. ARP has a different torque spec than Ford does with these Coyote heads, so we're gonna follow that torque spec instead, and then start putting the valve train and everything together. Head gaskets on. Just press on those tabs. Go up a little. Up in the back. Yeah, this side looks like it needs to go about right there. Hold on. Let me get that back stood in. There it goes. All right. All my head studs are right here. Go ahead and install those. Just gonna spin them down with the Allen head they've got on top of there. So start every one of them and then spin them all down. And the studs themselves are not torqued. They are just in there to hold in place. The clamping force comes from the nuts. So gonna get those on after and torque those down. So I got the washers. There's kind of looks like carbon fiber side and then a blank side. Blank side goes to the head. The carbon fiber looking side goes up, and the nut. The nut's got some lubricant on this face so it can make sure and torque down to actual spec without binding up on this washer first. So gonna torque those down, or gonna get these on, spin all these down, and then torque them to spec for what ARP says. All right, I got all those ran down. Gonna go ahead and torque it down. So it's a 3-step process for these. 40, oh, it's up here. 40, 80, and then 125 in a torque sequence. You got my torque wrench, and I'm gonna do it in those 3 steps, and then that head will be done, and then I'll go ahead and knock out the other head, and get to start putting the camshafts and everything in. All right, that was 40. Now we're on to 80. And now 125 foot-pounds. That'll be the final pass for this head. All right, the cylinder head is torqued down. Now I'm gonna do the other side. You're just gonna go ahead and knock that out. And then we'll start putting that front part back together. So after heads are installed, now we're gonna do lash adjusters. So I'm just cleaning them off, make sure there's no dust or anything on them, and setting them in there. So now I'll throw the camshafts on both sides, and then the caps, torque all the caps down, and then I'll time it from the front. So there's this little screen that goes into this camshaft for the phaser. So make sure if that falls out, make sure it goes back in. So I'm just tightening these enough to where the caps won't walk around, but they're not tight. I'm gonna tighten them in the sequence, the torque sequence, and then I'll torque them in the torque sequence that Ford recommends for these, and then we'll worry about the timing it actually. All right, so I'm gonna tighten these down just where they're touching to get all the slack out of it, so I'm not sitting there tightening for 20 minutes in the sequence that you torque it in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and torque it down and do both sides, and then we can start to install the front timing. Okay, so torque spec is 53. Torque spec is 53 inch-pounds, and then an additional 45 degrees. This only goes up to 60, so I'm going to try my best to, or it goes down to 60. I'm going to try my best to get as close to 53 as possible, and then that 45 degrees, obviously, this can handle that, so. All right, so I got the phasers and then the new camshaft kit and everything. So I've got to line up these cams this way. So they've got timing marks, and then on the chain, it's got these little indents. So on your the phaser, the 2 lines up with the 1, just like that. And then on your other chain, the 1 lines up with the 1. Oh, 1 more tooth over. All right, so that's how it's supposed to sit, just like that there. And then there's a little pin down in there, and a little pin right there. And then on the camshaft, there's that right there, and then that right there. You get those 2 to match. Same over here. And then you can push it on and install those bolts. And that's how it times the exhaust and intake together. And then this gear right here, that is how you times your crankshaft. So, but I got this one on. You can see the L is pointing straight to this surface right here. And then you can't see the backside obviously because it's installed, but that chain is timed, so everything on that is timed. Those aren't torqued yet, but they're on. And then I do it on this side, and then we'll torque those down, start installing the primary timing chains. All right, I got these lined up. The best way that I've found to kind of move these camshafts around, because I really don't want to install bolts here and possibly damage threads or anything like that. So the best way is there's a 4 squared edge right up here, right there. That lobe has 4 squares. So either a big pair of channel locks, or I've got these big vice grips. Nothing rides on here. Nothing can get messed up from that getting scarred up. And that's the easiest way to turn it. Just make sure you clean anything out that accidentally dropped in. And then those 2 are angled down. So take this and line those little stud up. All right, and you can tell it's all lined up because when you twist it, it wants to twist the camshaft. The only thing right now that is holding that camshaft to here is that little nub. So if it's twisting the camshaft, it's on. And then same with this one. I've got a pair of vice grips on there so it doesn't want to twist. But yeah, here he goes. You can see it. So both of those are on. So I just got to tighten those down. And just like this side over here, that timing mark right there, same thing over here, timing mark right there, pointed right there. It's the opposite of what the bank is what the timing mark or the alignment mark is, pointing right at the head. I find this mark is easier to measure than trying to do the whatever 2 o'clock or 1:30 that this one is for the right side, for the correct side. So I got those on. I'm gonna go ahead and torque those down, and then start installing the main timing chain. All right, so now I'm gonna torque these bolts down. The intake side, these are pretty easy. It's just 133 inch-pounds and then 90 degrees for each one of those bolts. This one is a long sequence. These need to be new bolts whenever you do them because the stretch of the bolt is what holds it in place, and if you reuse them, it'll cause issues with tension and they can back off, and you don't want to lose a motor because you didn't buy a $3 bolt. So and then this one, torque to 30 foot-pounds, loosen 360 degrees, torque to 20 foot-pounds, and then torque an additional 150 degrees. I might have to get the big torque wrench out. This may not torque down that many degrees. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, wait, hang on.
That was 110.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay, let's try it again.
I'm maxing out on the torque wrench.
Okay.
At 127 degrees. There we go. Alright, so now these are both torqued. I was also going to mention, it's kind of hard to install these wrong unless you just blow through it, don't pay attention, and you just bend those tabs, then they will go on. But you'll be able to tell your, if you stand right here, you can actually see that the camshaft, or the cam endings will not be aligned with each other. One will be crooked, and it'll physically look like that. It'll be bad. But these are both aligned. You can see that one over there too. That's aligned with that. And then chains are on. So I usually don't pull these tensioners until this tensioner right here, until I've got everything apart. It's kind of difficult with this chain sitting right here, so I might have to pull this one and this one as well, but the bottom ones I pull the exact same time. I don't do one then the other, that sort of thing. So all right, I got these timing chains and tensioners and everything on. So this Coyote, it's got a two-step timing process. One, you set there's a guide, or not a guide, a channel right here on the crankshaft. You set that to 330 right here, and then the R is pointed at the edge of the head right here, and you set the time for the L marker to the black chain, and then this little groove will be to the black chain. The groove will be sitting about here, and then you time this side, and then you turn it over to where the guide is sitting at 730, and then you time this bank. So the groove is going to have the little black chain, and then L is going to be pointed right at the head right here, and then R is going to have the black chain, and then install your tensioners and everything. And then I already rotated it over to full combustion cycles, so 4 total revolutions, and no binding, no sticking, no bumping, nothing. So this is in time now. This is the front cover for this Coyote. I don't know about all of them, but I don't remember the older ones being like this, but it's got a 3-piece front cover gasket. It is extremely hard to find. I could not source it from a local auto parts store. I actually had to go buy Motorcraft parts. 3-piece gasket set, and then the oil pan, because we didn't remove the oil pan or anything, I'm not going to replace the gasket on it. I've got this engine silicone. It's TA, what's on here? TA 357. This is, you can buy it from Ford themselves, the parts department. This is for sealing up the points where the gaskets meet. So like this corner here, and then the same thing with the valve covers. It's going to be this corner here, here, and here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed, and then with the valve covers, these seals, unless they're leaking, there's not really a point in replacing them. They're really expensive, unbelievably expensive. I think with all of these gaskets, if I added these gaskets, I'd add like $200 to my ticket. It was ridiculous. But I'm gonna replace this gasket because these are kind of hard and brittle. But I'm gonna replace those, and then from there it'll be front accessories. All right, so T357 right here in these corners, a little less than a dime-sized dollop will be just fine. It's just to make sure that there's no gap in between the old gasket and this and the new gasket. So. And then another thing with that T357, you only have 15 minutes from the point of application to the point of installing something before it stiffens up and it won't seal properly. So don't just put it on, let it sit, and then go about putting your gaskets together. Make sure that you put that on right before you install something. Nothing. All right, the front cover's installed. I still gotta do the bottom 4 bolts, and then next up is valve covers and the accessory drive. I think I can access that from the bottom, so I'll be just fine. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the water pump real quick. They're pretty easy to install. So you get your O-ring here, and then your new pump. They come with plastic gears in them. The Motorcraft one comes the same way. It's plastic. Not my favorite design, but they're cheap enough. I'm just gonna throw one in. There was nothing wrong with the old one, but just for peace of mind. So a little bit of grease spray on the O-ring, make sure it doesn't tear or anything. And then same thing with the front cover. When you go to put these valve covers on, there's a little gap between that front cover and the cylinder head. There's actually a little alignment dowel right here. You can't hardly see it, but it's like a little square peg. It literally is, 2 millimeter big, 2 millimeter wide. And right where that alignment dowel is, this TA357, put it on there, 15 minutes is all you got, but valve covers are easy. And then slap that on there, bolt those down, and those valve covers will be finished up. Same idea as that gasket on that water pump. I greased up all these to make sure they slide on really easy. New gasket here. This is for your high pressure fuel pump. And then I'm gonna slap that on, bolt it down. That side will be done. Oh, and this is the dipstick tube guide. They don't actually build one into the head, so you got to make sure when you're installing this to watch for that guide. Make sure it goes all the way down through the head and into the block where it should line up, so your dipstick doesn't get caught on anything. There's that little hole there. So oil cooler. The only reason you take that off is because of this singular bolt right here. It's a 13, and you cannot get a 13 millimeter anything in there to get that out unless you take that off. But it's real easy. Just a 14. It's a big drive, but a 14, it goes right where the filter screws into, and it tightens down right there. AC compressor's next. Three bolts hold it on. This is, you can see, didn't have to drain the AC. Everything is still attached. All my lines are still attached and everything. You don't have to evacuate AC, front cover, head gaskets, anything up front. This hard line is in the way, kind of. It's just kind of in the way. If you were to pull a motor on this, I would say drain it, just because of how in the way that hard line is. But other than that, everything can be done without draining the AC. Don't have to worry about it too much. So we're gonna go ahead and get this AC compressor on. So when you're installing that, those 2 bolts, just because where the rack and pinion is at, you've got to put the bolts in the compressor before you install the compressor. Otherwise you don't have the clearance because they're so long. The rear one has plenty of room. It's way easier to do it from the bottom side, so I'm gonna go ahead and slide underneath and knock that out from the bottom side. But those front 2 have to go in with the compressor. You can't put them on after. So when you're installing this, same thing, grease this seal so when it slides in there it doesn't tear, or sealing surface, I guess. Grease the sealing surface. And then there's a keyway in there that lines up with a keyway inside of our on the crank. Slide that on, tighten it down. Real easy to knock out. So I'm gonna use a hammer and a block of wood to help guide that thing on and to get it started. Normally you would use a pulley installer. I don't have one here, so I'm not gonna use it. But normally O'Reilly's, AutoZone, they rent them out. Well, they're free to rent, but they're fairly inexpensive to buy too. So alternator is 1 bolt at top like this, and then 1 bolt on the bottom like this, and then this in here, so it actually slides this way to help keep tension and keep that tight so you're not pressing the case together. So sometimes these are a bear to get out. You've got to wiggle and fight and wiggle, but once you get it, it's not too bad. right, so head gaskets are done, timing chain is done, everything on this side is done. This is all just, you know, maintenance kind of thing. None of these have been upgrades, none of these have been performance. This is just good stuff to do for preventative reasons. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video here. This is just the head gaskets, that sort of thing. I'm gonna link the supercharger installment in the description, and I'll pin it in the comments as well. And I'll upload the videos at the same time, so you don't have to wait for them or anything. But supercharger install is coming next. So from here, it's a little bit more torn down than what Whipple recommends. Just a little bit, not by a whole lot. But they recommend you take the front grill off. They recommend you take the fan out. Recommend take some of the coolant stuff out of the way. And then obviously the intake has to come off. But the next thing is going to be working on that supercharger. I've got that all here, all the parts for it. We'll have to do spark plugs. We'll have to do swap over some of the sensors, tie out some of the wires, change some of this accessory drive just in this area right here up. And that shouldn't take too long. And get this out of here. I'm not sure what Whipple recommends for install time, but reading the instructions and looking at all the parts and everything, it honestly seems like a really straightforward, really simple install. Not too bad. I think the average person would have a little bit of trouble, but if you just have simple mechanical experience and you follow their instructions closely, it won't be too bad. Whipple seems to make this really easy for people. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. This is head gaskets timing install on a Coyote 2018 F-150. And then supercharger's coming next.